Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and we're here today for the cover 2, issue 2 of Blood Force, wrapping it up. And just before we get into it, if you enjoy the channel, if you want to support me as an artist, best thing you can do, you can open up the description. There's a link there to my Patreon, and subscribing to that will give you access to all of the Blood Force pages, comics, process materials, the other one, what was it? Exclusives, that was it. And also, if you were to go over to my Instagram, commissions are now open. So, that's out of the way. So, yeah, this is the cover for issue 2. And went a bit more concept with this. The last one was, it's the standard issue 1 cover, I think, where you just get your guys and you try to make them look cool, you know, which is, yeah, like I said, kind of standard. And this one, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna have to step things up a bit, because I mean, if we're keeping with the image tradition, then the way to go from here would be to probably put them in a similar kind of position, just have them standing, looking badass. Maybe a couple of them standing, looking badass, or in a pose of some kind. That would be cool, right? But yeah, no, I figured you want to try and sell the Cyberzerk fight, and you got to give Popo some cover time, because he's in the page for because he's in the book for like 10 pages. And you know, just see if we can come up with something interesting looking. Maybe the one thing in here I'm not too happy about is that Cyberzerk's torso is a little smaller. Maybe it's just that his head is big. I'm not even sure. He doesn't look quite right. Everything else is reasonably okay, at least, and I like the composition on here. And this was didn't quite get this done in one day, but pretty close. I think this was like a 5-hour stream or so, 4.5, 4:45, something like that. And started with the spear thing, just because it's the thing furthest in front. It seemed relevant. Everything is going to have to go behind it. Like, basically, yeah, everything. Or if it's not going behind the spear itself, it's going behind something that's behind the spear. So you got to kind of get that out there first. And try to shade it a little differently, which worked out pretty good, I think, actually. So we'll try and do that again in the future. If we ever see Cyberzerk again. Who knows, right? We'll probably see him again sometime. Part of the point of of putting him in issue 2 is like trying to build up a Spider-Man type rogues gallery a little bit. You know, the only problem, or I guess the only thing that's easier for Spider-Man in that regard is that he dealt with like bank robbers and shit. So he didn't have to have like these guys. If I'm introducing a new character, they're probably going to be attacking Blood Force, and it's like every issue. Well, maybe not every issue, but you have to do a few of those. And get a decent pose on a Hawkstab here. Twist him up pretty good. Try and get the dynamism across. The pose itself doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think Cyberzerk would have to be holding his spear pretty far out in front of him for this to even work. But I don't think anybody particularly cares. And I gotta give my boy Hawkstab his cover time. It's interesting because he's not the most fun to draw. That'd probably be Popo. I have a bit more range on his face, and he just does sillier stuff. And then I go and I put Popo in a fucking hamster wheel for the entire issue. That's okay. That'll be resolved in the next issue. It will. And I really didn't know what to do on that right forearm there, did I? So just kind of made shit up and went, that looks pretty good, right? And it's like, Didn't go all the way with it, it feels like. Didn't commit to whatever I was doing there. And that's the problem. You got to go 100% if you're going to do that make it up shit. At least these blades look pretty good. And then trying to remember, I think I had to go get Cyberzerk's intro page, because that's basically where his suit got designed. You know, like I think the shin pad things, the hair obviously I had first, and possibly the ab plates were all already there. And then, you know, I put him on the page, and then it's like, okay, now what? He needs more. So, you know, the bolts, I think, I don't know, they might have been there already, but like the patterns, definitely not. The particulars of his face plate, if that's what that is. There's like extra bolts now up and down his arms, I think, that were not there in the design. Because doing a design of a guy doesn't necessarily equate to, you know, you're not necessarily getting the feel of how he's going to look on the page. So, yeah, I'll have a tendency to just tweak them. I mean, most of these guys got designed on a page or cover, really, or mock cover, I suppose. Popo, Maxtremus, Shock Block, and Fireburn, I think. Yeah, they all got mostly designed on the mock-up cover I did for issue 1. Because I designed Hard and Hawkstaff, and it's like, all right, let's draw the team now. And very much a Youngblood #1 rip-off, homage, whatever you want to call it. And there's a lot of black on this page. Or cover. Which I'm not sure if I overdid it, to be honest. I don't know if you want a ton of black on your cover. I guess we'll see. I mean, there's not a ton of solid black, at least, apart from Popo. But, and you know, the rest of it doesn't have to be black and white. I can do like a solid color for all the stuff behind everybody. That might be a good idea. And just pop everybody out with their regular multicolor look. And I guess this pose is a little reminiscent of the Uncanny 251 cover. Wasn't really, I think it was kind of in the back of my mind, but wasn't really an influence. It might be more appropriate to say that page 11 in issue 2 was a bit more of an homage. Again, I think it was in the back of my mind. I didn't look at it while I was drawing it, though, which may be obvious. I guess that would have been better. Like, you know, maybe not a better process, but maybe a better result. And there we go. Pretty good for uplighting. Don't usually do the entire body, including hands, you know. Usually if you're going to uplight something, it's the face. But yeah, it looks pretty good. This curve here turned out to be a bit too much, I think. Yeah. That's okay. Doesn't matter. On the cover, it feels like it should be more of a design thing anyway. So long as the image looks good, that's the most important thing. And we're starting to get all sorts of framing things here, with that arch framing all of the action, framing Popo himself, and then the window in the main spacecraft here framing Popo's head, which the arch kind of, you know, like I figured that would probably happen, and I'm glad it worked out as it did. The window on his head here was actually a complete mistake. Well, no, not a mistake, just a complete coincidence. I did not design it with that in mind. I just kind of like threw stuff on, randomly when I was drawing it. And then, you know, you put it on the cover, and it's like, okay, I didn't have the ship in mind when I designed the thing. So I put, I think, Popo and then like small guys in front, kind of like a Steranko kind of thing, maybe a little bit. And then it's like, it still feels a little bit empty. You know, we should have something in the background going on. It's like, oh, what about that ship? That looks pretty cool. It's like, sure. And then it just kind of completely lined up. Oh, shit. You can put that window behind his head and it frames it and everything. Looks a little bit like the Total Recall chair. That's great shit. Yeah, that kind of compositional stuff where it's like, oh man, he kind of knew what he was doing here. No, that's always coincidental with me. Like the fact that Cyberzerk and Hawkstab here managed to line up pretty well with Popo's legs. So particularly the blades on Hawkstab's left hand, so that they stand out. Because otherwise, there's going to be a lot of noodly panels behind them. Probably too much, really. I like these Metroplex spires. That's good stuff. Even if it looks like one should be descending underneath Popo's arm there. But whatever, right? These things are a bit too small, these windows, but I mean, there's one shot in the entire book. Who cares? And yeah, I don't know if these guys were necessary here. Again, it was a case of kind of felt a little bit empty without them. Of course, if I want to put a banner on here, it's a little cluttered. You'd have to put it pretty much in front of Hard here, I think. But, you know, we'll see. That might still work. If it doesn't, oh well, I'll try to remember it for next time. You know, you can't, there's not a whole lot you can do about it at this point. Other than, I mean, I can erase everybody, but that doesn't help a whole lot. And I don't think there's much of a way that's going to look good. And Hard doesn't usually look quite so, I don't know, heroic, I suppose. He's just kind of a monster you throw at guys. But yeah, no, see, like, Hawkstab's claws lining up right with Popo's leg there. That was again, I want to say mistake. Coincidence. Completely unintentional. And it's like, oh shit, that's pretty good, actually. And the motion of Hawkstab and Cyberzerk kind of mimics the cross thing, Popo being strung up here. I suppose it's like thematic a little bit visually. But yeah, so, and like, you know, shot here of Max Dreamer's ended up looking all right. He doesn't have a huge role in the story. Neither do Hard and Fireburn. So, you know, they don't need to be huge on the actual cover. And put a little bit of dirt so I can put some in front of Hard's foot here. I wouldn't have had a problem drawing Hard's foot. Just, you know, that's what you do on a cover. You hide the feet behind the rocks. It is a little weird how it's like the hamster wheel right up until you get in between Popo's legs here, and then it's that thing of dirt. I wonder how many people even notice that. And of course, oh, did we miss a bit there? Feels like we did. Oh well. And of course, no shock block on the cover at all, because he's in the book for all of like 2 pages. He has like 5 lines. There's no point. I feel like that would be false advertising if I were to put shock block on the cover. right, let's get these panels going. And this was, because it's just making up shapes. Okay, make sure there's enough black behind everybody to pop them out, and then go in and do your noodly panel things. And this is totally just, yeah, I don't know, like letting your brain wander, and try not to repeat yourself too much, too close together. So yeah, if all of this stuff is done as a flat color, I think, maybe washed out, I think that probably looks okay, and then you just do a regular color for Hawkstab and Cyberzerk and Maxtremus Hard and Fireburn. And then switched to my phone, because I spoke to a guy who advised that actually his phone got him a better picture for streams. So I thought I'd try that out. And it's definitely clearer. I think I still got to figure out the lighting situation, because this light is creepy. It's slightly orange. That's okay. And then, yeah, so you can get a better idea of what I'm doing with the panels here. You can see it's just random shapes. Usually something semi-square like. But you shrink it down, you put a color over it, I don't think people will really notice too much. And I probably tried to blacken a little bit more behind Maxtremus here, or give her a thicker outline. I would think I did, because that looks like it's. This was a danger. Was it? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this was a danger though with all these panely stuff. Is that the smaller characters here just kind of blend into it, Maxtremus and Fireburn specifically. But I think they pop out okay actually. Maybe the density of the noodling works out there. Oh, and got to get some veins on Popo as well. It was intentional to leave it until the last minute here. And I think those ended up looking okay. All right, and that is it. And I think on the cover here, yeah, and on the cover here, the only thing that I forgot to do before I scanned it in was to put the coils in Cyberzerk's hair. So, yeah, you know what, I'll do it here. So this is now the cover here, and Cyberzerk's hair, again, it always looks better when you put the coils in. It feels like it has some weight. It's a drag, because it takes forever. But yeah, that is the cover for issue 2, and I think it's a pretty strong cover, actually. And now we're on to issue 3, which, honestly, I don't know if I thought I'd get here. I mean, you know, this quickly, but even sometimes at all. It's, you know, it's, when you start out just, like, coming up with stupid names and being like, yo, what if we name a guy Hawkstab? You know, that kind of thing. Or Fireburn. It's the most redundant name ever. Don't actually figure I'll draw the next 2 issues of that comic book. But, and right. But apparently I did. And you can read it now if you subscribe on my Patreon. So what you would do there is click on the link, go over to the Patreon, subscribe there. It gives you access to the completed Blood Force comics, both of them now, as well as process stuff, behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff. Also, you can follow me on Twitter. And if you were to go over to my Instagram, commissions are now open, so DM me there. And I could draw you this, theoretically. I'd charge you a bit more, I think, because there's a lot here. But no, I could try that. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.